a trust that he knows what he's talking about with the values of the property.
The episode begins softly. Acoustic guitar music hums over a wide pan of North Carolina fields. Golden sunlight, children's laughter in the distance, the camera moving across Janelle Brown's porch. She is at peace for the first time in years. She has her hands in the earth, planting flowers with her grandchildren. She smiles, that infrequent, genuine Janelle smile that only ever appears when she's with her children. Then the voice of the narrator interrupts, deep and measured. But peace in the Sister Wives universe never lasts long, and one woman's happiness has turned into another woman's heartache. A new chapter for Janelle Brown has accomplished what many believed she would never do. After decades of spiritual marriage and stoic submission, she's independent. Independent of Cody Brown's turbulent dictatorship. Independent of the competition. Independent to breathe. And for the first time, she is around the people she cares about the most. Her children. The camera pauses on Maddie Brush, giggling with her tots on the porch. Next to her stands Mykelti Padron, Christine's daughter, dropping by with her twins. Janelle looks at them with quiet satisfaction and remarks, as if by chance. You know, all of the grandkids are here now. They love it. They love Grandma Janelle's house. It's a casual remark, sincere, friendly. But as the producers transition to a confessional, we watch Christine Brown viewing the same clip on her phone, her face growing just a little tighter. Christine's confessional, Christine takes a sharp breath before she speaks. When Janelle told me that, about having all the grandkids stay with her, it hurt. I mean, she didn't think that. I know she didn't, but it was like a cut. She stops talking, fidgeting with her wedding ring. Because that's what I miss. I used to have all my children around me. We were a group. And now, they're siding with her. The producers cut back to Janelle, completely unaware of the storm her words just created. She's in her kitchen making lemonade, laughing with Savannah. I just love it here, Janelle says. We're all together. It's chaos, but it's our chaos. Then the camera cuts to Christine again, alone on her Utah porch, quiet, still, aching. The wound that never healed. This isn't about lemonade or grandkids. It's about everything that came before. When Christine divorced Cody in 2021, she did it after a lifetime of trying to make him happy, trying to help raise 6 children, in a polygamous chain of command that never treated her the way she deserved. She desired peace. She desired happiness. And she got it, with David Woolley, the husband she deems her true partner. But something about Janelle's new intimacy with the kids, particularly Christine's kids, opens up an old sore. Christine shares with David at dinner one evening. It's foolish, I know. But to hear her say that, to all the grandkids being there, it made me feel like I failed, like I'm not the center anymore. David reaches out across the table, taking her hand softly. Honey, that's not failure. That's just life moving forward. Christine forces a weak smile. Yeah, but it still hurts. Foreshadowing trouble. Back in North Carolina, Janelle receives a call from TLC producers. They'd like to tape a combined segment, a Sister Wives reunion of sorts, with her, Christine, and the grandchildren. Janelle grins. Oh, Christine will adore that. The kids can play. We can chat. It'll be wonderful. The producers share a knowing glance. Because what Janelle doesn't realize is that Christine has already told them, I'm not ready to see her yet. A family divided by love. By the time this episode airs, fans are already picking sides online. Some claim Christine is being too sensitive. Others say Janelle should have known better than to boast on camera. But the deeper truth? It's not jealousy. It's grief. Grief for the family that used to be forever. Grief for the days when Christine, Janelle, and their children were one big, boisterous, gorgeous tribe. Now, they're shards, living parallel lives that don't intersect anymore. And, as TLC's dramatics swell, the narrator foretells what's about to happen. One woman's happiness has become another woman's heartbreak, and this time, there's no Cody to blame. Fade to black. The following morning, Christine wakes to a text from a TLC producer. Brief and courteous, but charged with tension. Hi, Christine. We're doing a small family segment in North Carolina next week. Janelle will be there. Would you be willing to come for a few days? Christine sits there staring at the message for what feels like an eternity. Her coffee gets cold. She isn't saying she doesn't love Janelle. She does. They've spent decades laughing, having late-night conversations, and surviving in a world that revolves around Cody's whims. But there's a thin fissure now. One that began when Cody became infatuated with Robin and expanded after Christine left. She deletes and rewrites, then settles into writing. I need to think about it. On the other side of the country in North Carolina, Janelle is thrilled. She's out setting up a picnic table, announcing to Savannah and Maddie, "Your Aunt Christine's coming to visit. It'll be like old times." Savannah smiles. "That's great, Mom. It's been ages." Janelle's eyes mist up. "Yeah, too long." She has no idea that Christine hasn't agreed yet. Christine's doubts. Christine sits on her Utah porch with David that night, seeing the sunset. "They want me to return," she whispers. David asks, "Do you want to?" Christine shrugs. "Part of me does. I miss them. But part of me doesn't. I feel like every time I see that side of the family, I have to relive everything I got away from." David nods slowly. "Then don't go for them. Go for you." Christine exhales. "But what if I run into Janelle and it just aches? She has what I was seeking. Kids nearby, grandkids in the picture, that feeling of family I worked so diligently to maintain." David imagines. "You didn't lose that, Christine. You created meaningful life. They just took longer to arrive." The producer's strategy. In a backroom meeting at TLC headquarters, the producers discuss the reunion scene. One of them says, "Christine's hesitation could make for a powerful episode. The fans will want to see closure, or confrontation." Another adds, "Let's film both houses. Janelle with the kids, Christine in Utah. We'll cross-cut their lives. Make the emotion build. They know exactly what they're doing." They're setting up the emotional earthquake. Janelle's proudest moment. The following day, Janelle shoots a confessional for the show. She's radiant. "I love having the kids around," she says. "It's not perfect, but it feels like what we were always meant to have. Family together, supporting each other. I feel proud." The camera gets close up on her face, happy, serene. Then, mid-giggle, she utters the line that's going to shatter the internet. "I mean, honestly, I've got all the grandkids right here. It's amazing." Cut silence. The editors let it linger, knowing that those words, "I've got all the grandkids right here," are about to explode across social media. Christine's reaction, back in Utah. Christine watches the early cut of Janelle's scene on her phone. Her face falls. "She said all the grandkids," Christine grumbles, voice shaking. She knows that's not true. Mine are in North Carolina, too. They're hers by love, sure, but they're mine. David reaches out and touches her shoulder, but she shakes her head. I know she didn't mean it that way. But still, it's like she's erasing everything we ever went through together. She glances away, fighting tears. It's like I don't exist in that family anymore. The confession. That evening, Christine makes her own confession for the show. The lights are low, her voice rough. There was a time when Janelle and I were inseparable. We were each other's person. We'd laugh about Cody, cry about Cody, build each other back up. And now, she swallows hard. Now it's like she has a family that doesn't include me. It hurts more than I thought it would. The producer inquires gently off-screen. Do you still feel connected to her? Christine pauses. I don't know anymore. The family frays. Meanwhile, the scenes with Janelle in North Carolina are stark in contrast. Children playing, children laughing. Dinner on the front porch. Janelle cradling a baby as Maddie teases within arm's reach. It's warm, genuine, joyful. But for Christine at home, every laugh rings like a cruel reminder of what she lost. When Peyton calls from North Carolina, Christine puts on a smile. How's it going, sweetheart? Peyton, cheerful, replies, It's great, Mom. Aunt Janelle's house is perfect. Maddie's children adore it here. Christine's smile thins. That's wonderful. He, cheerful as ever, adds, You should come visit. Everyone's here. The line hurts. Christine laughs very lightly. Maybe one day, honey. Maybe one day. The morning sun streams in through Christine's kitchen window. The air is thick, motionless, as if it is aware something significant is going to take place. David is filling cups of coffee when Christine enters, her phone ringing in her palm. She looks at it, breathes heavily, and announces, It's TLC again. They're asking for a decision. David examines her face. So, what is your heart telling you? Christine gazes out the window for a very long time before she responds. My heart tells me I miss them, but pride tells me they forgot me. David puts down the coffee. Then go, not to repair the past. Go to show them what you are today. Christine's jaw clenches. Okay, let's do this. She texts the producer again in 2 short words. I'm in. Janelle prepares. Across the country, Janelle's house is a whirlwind of excitement. Maddie's setting up snacks, McKelty's bringing her twins, and Janelle's on the phone with the producers. She's really coming? Janelle asks, her tone filled with relief. Yes, the producer replies. She said she's ready. Janelle smiles, her voice softening. Good, I've missed her. Savannah, overhearing, smiles too. Mom, it's going to be great. Just like old times. But Janelle's face cloud over a little. It's been a long time since anything was like old times. Christine's journey cut to Christine in the car with David, driving over vast highways, Utah disappearing behind them. The view is stunning. Red rock giving way to green fields. Christine gazes out the window and whispers, I remember when we used to drive like this. Me, Janelle, and all the kids. The minivans, the road trips, the chaos. David looks over. You miss it? Christine's head shakes slowly. I miss who I thought we were. Then softly, I miss her. The producers tension at TLC headquarters. The editing team watches test footage. Christine's confessionals are gold. Janelle's laughter is radiant. But the contrast is stark and intentional. One producer smirks. We've got lightning in a bottle. This reunion could be one of the biggest emotional moments of the season. Another replies, Let's keep the cameras rolling. Whatever happens, don't cut. The arrival, the second scene opens on Janelle's porch. It's heavy with humidity and expectation. Janelle standing by the door, fidgety. She keeps rubbing her hands up against her jeans, looking towards the driveway. Then, Christine's car arrives. The door opens. Christine gets out, sunlight lighting her hair. David ushers her out, his hand on her back, light but supportive. Janelle comes to an absolute standstill. For a heartbeat, nothing moves. Then, with a warm and cautious smile, Janelle moves forward. Christine. Christine returns the smile, her tone little more than a whisper. Hey, Janelle, they hug. It's uncomfortable. The sort of hug in which 2 people are recalling who they were once. The awkward small talk, with the kids' chatter ringing through the interior. Cameras sweep over cookie plates, lemonade glasses, and family photographs. Christine glances around and whispers, You've made it so pretty here. Janelle smiles. Thanks, it feels like home. The kids just love it. Christine smiles, trying. Yeah, I can tell. There is a lull. Then Janelle, ever the diplomat, speaks up. "I'm so glad you came, Chris. It's been too long." Christine laughs softly. "It has. I almost forgot how much noise our family makes." They both smile, a tiny, real flare of the old days. But as soon as Mykelti enters, her twins cradled in her arms, Christine's smile again cracks. Seeing her daughter, residing here, under Janelle's roof, awakens some raw place within her. The private interview. We cut to Christine's confession. She gazes down for a long time before she begins to talk. Having Mykelti over here, with her babies living so near Janelle, it's great actually, but it's difficult. Because for so long, I was the one who kept it all together. I was the one who kept the family together, and now I'm on the outside. She stares directly into the camera. It feels like I've been replaced. The dinner conversation. Later that evening, all of us sitting around the dinner table. Laughter, stories, children screaming. Janelle raises her glass. To family at no matter how it evolves, may it always remain strong. Everyone makes a toast. Everyone but Christine. She smiles graciously but remains silent. David catches the look. He puts his hand over hers under the table, but Christine's eyes remain fixed on Janelle, surrounded by kids, grandchildren, and a warmth that once belonged to her. The tension builds. Christine and Janelle sit outside after dinner, the cameras continuing to roll. Cicadas buzz. The air vibrates with all that is not said. Christine speaks up at last. "You've got quite the setup here. Everyone's so close." Janelle nods with a smile. "Yeah, it's been great having them all around." "I think we needed this." Christine gasps sharply, her words shaking. "You know, when I overheard you tell me that you had all the grandkids with you, it really stung." Janelle seems shocked. "Christine, I didn't mean..." Christine cuts her off, her words cracking. "I know you didn't, but it felt like you forgot about me. Like all the love, all the work, all those years just disappeared." The camera cuts to Janelle's face, confusion and guilt blending into a single look. The music swells. The camera holds the silence between them. Narrators close. Two women who once shared everything are now standing on opposite sides of an invisible line. One surrounded by family, the other haunted by what she's lost. But what Christine says next will change everything. Fade to black. The night is thick with humidity and despair. Cicadas outside wail into the silence that has come between Christine and Janelle. The children's laughter carries thin from within the house, but out here on the porch, it's only them. Two women who have lived decades side by side, facing each other, not knowing what there is left to say. Janelle silences the space first. Her voice is gentle, hesitant. "Christine, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you with that. I was just so glad. Glad to have everyone together." "I didn't think..." Christine interrupts, her voice soft but pointed. "No, you didn't think. You never think how something sounds anymore. You just speak of your life, your children, your grandchildren, and I feel like I no longer fit in this family." Janelle blinks, her eyes opening in shock. "Chris, that's not fair. You do belong. You always will." Christine's eyes flash, tears brimming but unfallen. "Do I? Because it doesn't feel like that. It feels like I lost Cody and everything. Not just him, which, honestly, thank God for that, but you too. The kids, the connection, the sisterhood. I built that family, Janelle. I built it! And now I'm seeing you live the life I attempted to keep together." The words hang in the air like smoke. The confessional cut. Christine's interview begins in mid-tier. "I know it is dramatic. I know I shouldn't be jealous. But I spent years trying to make that family whole. And now she has all of it. The togetherness, the grandkids, the laughter. It's like I was the practice round, and Janelle gets the prize." The off-camera producer whispers, "Do you think Janelle feels the same way?" Christine shakes her head. "No, Janelle doesn't feel loss. Janelle's the calm one, the steady one. But me, I'm fire. And fire always burns, even when it's love." Janelle's point of view cut to Janelle's confessional, filmed later that night. She's tired, her voice husky, her eyes red from crying. I didn't intend to hurt Christine. I love my children, and the fact that they all want to be near me, that's been my saving grace since all that stuff with Cody. But I never intended for her to feel excluded. I thought she'd be glad for me. She stands there looking down. I didn't know she still felt like we were competing. Back on the porch, Janelle breathes a sigh, leaning in. Christine, I've always been proud of you. You cut and ran when you had to. You did what none of us were able to do. You began anew. You fell in love again. You're content. Don't let this, jealousy or whatever it is, destroy that. Christine laughs bitterly. Jealousy? Janelle, it's not jealousy. It's grief. You don't get it. When I see your grandkids here, when I see my daughter calling your house home, I feel like a ghost. Like I died and no one told me. Janelle's eyes are filled with tears. You haven't died, Christine. You're just in a different chapter. Christine wipes her eyes, her voice rising. Then why does it feel like I'm not in the book anymore? The silence that follows is unbearable. Flashback. Montage cue the flashbacks. The editors cut between old footage, Christine, and Janelle laughing together in the early Sister Wives seasons. Family. Dinners filled with chaos and noise, Christine. Helping Janelle's kids with homework. The infamous Coyote Pass scenes, where both women were united against Cody's empty promises. Then, the breakup years. Christine loading boxes, Janelle sobbing in her confessional, saying, if Christine's gone, I don't know how we go on. Now, here they are, sitting face to face, broken and not knowing how to get their way back. The turning point, Janelle breathes deeply and rises to her feet. Come with me, she says softly. Christine pauses. Where? Janelle motions for her to come through. They go inside, past the laughter and the heat, until Janelle reaches in front of a picture on the wall. An old photograph of the whole Brown family before the cracks, before the insanity. She points at it. This is you. You were the glue. Without you, none of this would have existed. The kids, the traditions, the way we all loved each other, and that was you. So don't you dare think you're not part of this story. You wrote it, Christine. Christine gazes at the photo, her hand shaking as she extends it to touch it. Her voice breaks. Then why does it hurt so much to see you happy? Janelle breathes softly. Because healing always hurts the ones who started it first. The emotional release, and then that. The dam breaks. Christine weeps, no longer with anger but with years of tiredness and love and loss. Janelle encircles her in a hug, holding her close, for the first time in years. There's no Cody, no cameras, at least not that they notice. No competition, just two women who rode out the same storm, holding on to one another in its wake. Blubbering, Christine whispers, I miss you. And Janelle says, you never lost me. You just forgot I was waiting. The producers silence within the control van. The producers are speechless. The rawness of the moment, the tears, the vulnerability, it's real television gold. But for once, even they know to be quiet. The cameras continue to roll, but nobody says a word. All you can hear is Christine's gentle sobs and Janelle's whisper. We were never enemies. Chris. We were just two moms trying to survive a man who couldn't love us enough. Narrator closes, the music builds. The narrator's voice is heard once more. They came from the same dream. Two women who lived a life together under one man's name. But when that dream collapsed, they were left with the toughest truth of all. Love doesn't always fizzle. Sometimes it just evolves, fade to black. The sun climbed gently above the hills of North Carolina, bathing Janelle's backyard in rose and gold colors. The evening's soft harmony of cicadas was still heard, their rhythmic song replaced now with the soothing cooing of doves on the porch railing. The air hung heavy, as if the world itself was exhaling after having held its breath for so long. Christine woke up early. Slumber had not been easy. Her mind had reeled over the evening's dialogue repeatedly. The sobs. The words she wanted to have eaten their way back down her throat. The love of years curdled into anger. She had stood before Janelle with all the rawness of her heart exposed. And while it had stung, there was something freeing in that candor. She slipped quietly across the guest room, not wanting to disturb David, who lay sleeping. As she stepped outside, a wispy mist clung to the earth, curling around her ankles as if it did not want her to leave her mind. She held tightly to her coffee cup and gazed out into the distance, into the fields, into the fences, into the house Janelle had made. There was no longer anger in her eyes, only a muted ache. Out of the corner of her eye, she noticed movement. Janelle, wearing an oversized sweater and yoga pants, already sat at the picnic table. A notebook had been spread out before her, pen in the center, head cocked slightly as she wrote something personal. Christine tugged on her turtleneck sweater, feeling exposed. She could have turned in, skipped the morning after embarrassment, but something greater drew her on. "Hey," she whispered. Janelle smiled up at her. It was a smile laced with 1,000 silent apologies. "Hey yourself," she said. Christine sat down next to her, the wooden bench groaning beneath the weight of 2 decades of accumulated history. For a long time, they didn't say anything. The quiet between them wasn't icy this time. It was rich with the things they no longer needed to explain. At last, Christine broke the silence. "I was sorry for last night," she whispered. "I shouldn't have snapped at you that way. You didn't deserve it." Janelle put down her pen, placing her hands on the table. "No, Christine. Don't apologize. I needed to hear it." "You're not wrong." Christine looked up, taken aback. "What do you mean?" Janelle exhaled. "I think I've been so busy constructing my own peace that I lost track of the price it paid to everyone else. I've said how happy I am with the kids here, but I didn't mean it as cruelly as it probably sounded to you. Like I'm gloating, like I have it all, and you're left behind." Christine's eyes grew soft. "You've worked hard enough for that happiness, Janelle. Don't ever feel guilty about it. It's just..." She hesitated, seeking the right words. "Hearing you speak of having everybody close is like a reminder of what I believed I had for always. The big family, the laughter, the bonding. I believed that was my legacy." Janelle smiled weakly. "It still is." Christine shook her head. "No, that version of family, it's gone, and I've accepted that. But sometimes, when I see you surrounded by everyone, it feels like the world moved on and forgot to tell me." Janelle reached out across the table and grasped Christine's hand, the touch firm but gentle. "You were never forgotten. You just needed room to heal. And while you were healing, the rest of us were learning how to live without you." Christine glanced down at their clasped hands, her throat constricting. "I didn't know how much I needed this. To speak with you, to hear that." "You're not alone, Chris," Janelle said gently. "You never were." For the first time in years, Christine smiled. A real one. Not the practiced grin she wore for cameras or fans. "Thank you," she whispered. Janelle squeezed her hand. "You don't have to thank me. We've both survived Cody Brown. That makes us sisters for life." They both laughed thereupon. The laughter that wells up after too much weeping. The laughter that would taste like forgiveness. In a few minutes, Maddie stood in the doorway, rubbing her eyes and cradling a drowsy toddler on her hip. "You two are starting early," she yawned. Christine smiled. "Couldn't sleep." "Too much thinking," Maddie grinned knowingly. "That's how I know your family. None of us sleep when there's emotion involved." Janelle laughed. "It's genetic at this point." As Maddie went back into the house, Christine turned to Janelle. "You did good, you know," she said gently. "These children, they love you. They feel safe here. That's something I don't think I ever gave mine." Janelle scowled. "Don't say that. Your children love you, Christine. You empowered them. You learned them to fight for themselves. Just look at Mykelti. Look at Aspen. They are tough because you were tough enough to show them what being independent is like." Christine fought back tears. "I guess I just wanted to be the mom who could keep everyone together." "You were," Janelle blurted out. "You just couldn't hold a man who didn't want to stay." Christine took a breath, the words striking her with harsh truth she did not wish but could not avoid. "I think," she spoke slowly, "I'm finally understanding that I didn't lose a husband. I lost an illusion," Janelle nodded. "Exactly. And the best part? We get to rebuild something real. Not with him, but with each other." The two women sat quietly again. watching the sun climb higher. The mist had burned away, and the world felt a little clearer. In the distance, one of the kids started calling for Grandma Christine. And another voice echoed, "Grandma Janelle!" It made them both laugh. Loud, bright laughter that carried through the yard. "Guess we're both Grandma now," Janelle said, smiling wide. Christine nodded. "Yeah, maybe that's what family looks like now. Not about who's closer, just about who shows up." Janelle smiled. "Then you've shown up, Chris. That's enough." The camera zoomed out on the two women sitting side by side. 2 cups of coffee, 2 hearts healing in real time. Christine gazed out at the horizon, her face soft but firm. "You see," she said, "I used to believe that peace would be silence. But now, I believe that peace simply equals honesty. And last night, for the first time in years, I was honest." Janelle nodded. "And that's how healing begins." The camera cut to the sunrise, an apt symbol for 2 women who'd lingered too long in the darkness at last discovering the light. In her later confessional, Christine spoke softly. "Sometimes family isn't about the person you share history or blood with. It's about the person you can stand your truth with, and still sit next to the next morning." Fade into the next scene. Birds singing, children giggling, and 2 coffees growing cold on a table side by side. The sun beaten down warmly over Janelle's large backyard in the afternoon, illuminating the laughter that echoed through the air. It was one of those golden, once-in-a-lifetime sort of days, the kind that it seemed the world would grant everyone that fleeting moment of tranquility before the next storm arrived. Janelle's house was filled with sound and laughter. The grandkids were loose, running after bubbles that drifted slowly across the grass. Maddie's youngest screamed with glee as a puppy whizzed by, tail wagging wildly. Mykelti and Tony were wrestling their twins, chuckling amidst the pandemonium nearby. And then there was Christine. She stood on the porch, her arms crossed loosely over her stomach, a small wry smile on her lips. She hadn't seen this much family gathered in one location in years. For once, she didn't feel as though she was entering a war zone or a shadow of someone else. It felt normal. Too normal, perhaps. Her husband, David, crept up behind her and put an arm across her waist. "You okay?" he whispered. Christine nodded, but her gaze remained on the children. "Yeah, it's just weird, seeing everybody all together like this. It feels like something I used to dream about. Only this time, there isn't any tension, any pretending." David smiled. "That's because you're not pretending anymore." She turned to look at him, and in that instant, the camera caught it. That small, genuine moment of love that defined Christine's new life. "You're right," she said with a quiet laugh. "For once, it's real." Cut to confessional. Christine, hair tousled by the wind, smiles sheepishly into the camera. "You know, for so long I believed the family had to be everyone under one roof, even if that roof was creaking. But being here, watching Janelle's kids, my kids, the grandkids all play together, it hit me. Family isn't about who's under the same roof. It's about who shows up, again and again, even after everything falls apart." Outside, Janelle came out bearing a plate of cookies, dusting crumbs off her shirt. "Okay, everyone, sugar break," she announced. The children descended on her like bees on honey. Christine felt a twinge of admiration and wistfulness. Janelle seemed so very at ease playing this part, the serene, centered mother who managed to make chaos seem effortless. "Still the cookie queen," Christine kidded. Janelle smiled. Old habits die hard. She sat down next to Christine, offering her one. "You have to try these. Same recipe we used at the Flagstaff Christmas." Christine laughed. "Oh, you mean the Christmas where Cody took off for half a day because Robin had a meltdown?" "Yeah, I remember." They both laughed. A rich, unfettered laugh that was like reclaiming something holy. Then, from the other side of the yard, Maddie yelled out, "Mom! Aunt Christine! Let's get everyone for a group picture." Christine stood stock still. "A family picture?" Janelle sparkled. You heard her? Come along. The whole family started to group together. The children, the teenagers, even David. As they gathered in front of the giant oak tree, Christine lingered at the far side of the photograph. She didn't know where to position herself. For years, there was always a set order in every picture. Wives sorted by Cody's preference, children placed by whose mother they were. There was always an unseen line separating his family from hers. Now there was no Cody, no order. Just love and a camera. Janelle noticed her hesitation and reached out, grabbing her hand. You stand right next to me, where you've always belonged. Christine smiled, eyes wet, heart full, and stepped beside her. The photographer, one of the kids, counted down. 3, 2, 1. Smile, the camera clicked. And in that instant, something profound shifted. For the first time, a Brown family photo wasn't defined by hierarchy or control. It was defined by choice. Cut to confessional. Janelle smiles gently in her chair. That moment, taking that photo with Christine, meant the whole world to me. It wasn't about recreating the old family. It was about creating something new, something real. I learned that we don't have to have a patriarch to hold us together. We're doing just fine without one. Following the photo, the group started separating back into little groups, talking and giggling all around. Christine chatted with Maddie for a while, discussing motherhood and how much life was different now that she was away from Cody's shadow. I don't even believe how free we all are, Maddie said. It's like we can finally breathe. Christine smiled, observing Janelle after one of the toddlers. You know what's ironic? Your mom and I used to discuss this very thing. What life would be like if we ever departed. We'd dream of being neighbors, of the children growing up together without all the drama. Maddie grinned. Sounds like you finally got it. Christine's face relaxed. Yeah, I guess I did. As the sun started to set, the crew came together once more near the fire pit. Janelle distributed marshmallows, the grandkids laughing as they attempted to toast them without incinerating them. Christine sat quietly for a moment, just taking it all in, the laughter, the love, the easy rhythm of it all. For the first time in years, she wasn't waiting for someone to interrupt, to criticize, to make her feel small. David leaned in. You okay? Christine nodded. I think I'm finally home. Not in a place, but in a feeling. Janelle heard her and smiled. See? I told you this was what family is like nowadays. Christine glanced at her and murmured. You were right. The two women exchanged a quiet, lengthy look, not one of competition, but acknowledgement. Both had lost so much, but here, surrounded by the kids they'd raised, they could at last see what they'd gained. Final scene of the gathering. The camera zooms out, the orange light of the fire casting back onto joyful faces, children toasting marshmallows, David and Janelle talking, Christine reclining in her chair with a contented smile. In her final voiceover, Christine states, sometimes healing looks like chaos. It's messy, it's loud, it's imperfect, but it's real. And real is so much better than perfect ever was. Janelle's voice comes over Christine's. Years I thought family must mean everyone staying. Now I understand it means everyone growing, even if that means growing apart. What it does matter is that we still find our way back, when it really matters. The screen blacks out with the grandchildren laughing in the distance, a testament to two women who never allowed heartbreak to define the ending of their tale. The morning after dawned bright and abuzz with that post-reunion tranquility, the sort that comes after an emotional tempest. Janelle's house was still quiet, except for the background din of grandkids' laughter and clinking dishes from the kitchen. The previous day's big family gathering still lingered like a warm recollection. Everyone laughed, ate, hugged, even wept. For the very first time in what seemed like an eternity, peace had descended on this family like a much-needed sunrise. Christine stood by the kitchen window, hair tied back haphazardly, enjoying her tea. David had already left to assist Tony with something on the truck. She could hear Janelle in the next room chattering with Maddie about shopping and timetables. Everything was just right. Simple. Stable. Then, a car door shut outside. At first, it didn't sink in. The crunch of tires on gravel, an engine shutting off, a door slamming shut. Christine hardly looked up, but then she caught it. The clear clinking of bracelets, the sure sound of heels on the front porch. Her heart locked up. Janelle was the first to peer out the window. "Oh," she whispered, eyes growing wide. "Oh my goodness." Christine stepped in alongside her, looking through the window. And there she was. Mary, getting out of her car with that same cool stride she'd always possessed. That half-smile which never really reached her eyes. Her hair styled immaculately, with a blazer on despite it being much too hot for one. Christine's mouth dried. What is she doing here?" Janelle said nothing. She just stared, just as shocked. In a few seconds, the rapping of knuckles against the front door shattered the quiet. 3 sharp raps. Christine glanced at Janelle, half laughing, half frantic. "Do we open it?" Janelle let out a deep breath. "Well, she already knows we are here." They both laughed nervously before Janelle went to the door. She opened it slowly, revealing Mary, standing tall, confident and slightly smug, as if she'd just stepped into the final act of a play she'd been missing from. "Well, look who it is," Mary said, her voice even. "Heard there was a reunion going on. Thought I'd crash the party." Christine couldn't resist. She laughed. "Of course you would arrive after the dramatic parts are over," Mary smiled. "Someone has to keep you two from rewriting history." That dispelled the tension in an instant. Janelle walked forward and hugged her, briefly, but genuinely. Christine did the same, a little reserved at first. But once she had her arms around Mary, she remembered how long it had been. It wasn't uncomfortable. It wasn't unnatural, it was healing. They strolled out into the backyard together, finding a seat on the porch where yesterday's discussions had taken place. The breeze was scented faintly with last night's blaze, with coffee and sunlight. "So," Christine started, "to what do we owe this honor?" Mary shrugged. "I saw the photos on social media. Everyone all together. I thought, why not? I didn't want to be the only one missing out again." Janelle smiled knowingly. "You mean you didn't want to let us hog the spotlight?" Mary grinned. "Maybe a little of that, too." The 3 of them laughed, for real this time. The years of resentment, jealousy, and heartache seemed to melt with each ticking second. Cut to confessional. Mary occupies her interview chair, her voice truthful and contemplative. "When I saw Christine and Janelle together, laughing once more, something inside of me felt something. I don't know if it was jealousy or relief, but I knew I could not simply stay away. We rode through hell together, and for better or worse, we made something real, even if it ultimately collapsed. Perhaps it's time that we stop acting like we're not family." Back on the porch, Christine drew a deep breath. "You know, I was afraid to see you again," she said. "We didn't exactly leave on the best of terms." Mary nodded. "You mean that time when you said you never wanted to live one more day in the same house as me?" Christine flinched. "Yeah, that part." They both laughed, raucous, unfettered laughter that caught them both by surprise. "I understand now," Mary stated between pauses. "We were all living the best way we knew how, competing for crumbs of affection from a man who didn't have enough to go around." Janelle glanced between them. "And the terrible thing is, we thought we were competing with each other." Christine nodded. "Not him." The truth seemed to hover in the air, heavy and unrefusable. No one spoke for a very long time. Then Mary spoke. "I think I lingered so long because I didn't know who I was without the fight," she said softly. "When I finally walked away, I thought I'd be free. But mostly, I just felt empty." Christine gazed at her gently. "You weren't empty, Mary. You were just tired." Mary smiled sadly. "Yeah, that sounds about right." The 3 women sat quietly for a moment, that kind of quiet which is sacred, not uncomfortable. The rustle of wind in the trees filled the space where there once lived resentment. Cut to confessional. Janelle regards contemplatively. Seeing Mary again, it made me realize how much suffering we all endured. For so long, she was the bad guy in our minds, but she wasn't. She was just another woman trying to survive in a situation intended to destroy us. Perhaps forgiveness is not about forgetting what occurred. Perhaps it's about seeing that we were all victims of the same lie. Back on the porch, Christine smiled out of the blue. "So, Mary, what are you doing with your life? Don't tell me you've married another polygamous group." Mary burst out laughing so hard she snorted. "God, no. I'm struggling to cope with being single. Why would I commit to 4 husbands?" Even Janelle doubled over in laughter. The noise filled the backyard, raw, uninhibited, and free. They spent hours catching up. Mary discussed her new business, dating life, and rediscovering independence. Christine explained how marriage was different with David. Equal, quiet, full of laughter. Janelle added stories about her grandkids and the new life she'd created on her land. The more they spoke, the more it became obvious. They weren't those same women who had lived in subservience to Cody. They had evolved, grown, healed. And in that evolution, there was finally space for friendship once again. As the sun started to set in the afternoon, the 3 women strolled down to the fence line to observe the children playing. "You know," Mary whispered, "I think about how much time we spent arguing against each other, when we could have been doing this." Christine nodded. "Each day. But perhaps we had to endure it in order to be here." Janelle smiled. "I believe the most difficult is seeing the love that we fought over, that it was never his to give. It was ours to find." The 3 stood quietly, watching generations of their children and grandchildren laugh in the distance. Mary chuckled. "You know, it's funny. Cody always said we'd fall apart without him. But look at us," Christine smirked. "Thriving," Janelle added, "and happier than ever." The camera lingered on their faces. 3 women once pitted against each other, now united by the very freedom that tore them apart. Cut to final confessional. Christine brushes a tear away, smiling. "I thought closure was when someone said sorry, or things went back to the way they were. Closure is seeing this. Sitting on a porch with women I considered rivals and knowing they're my sisters. We made it through something that was supposed to kill us. That's what makes us family." The camera trails out with the 3 women walking away from the house towards it, their grandchildren's laughter ringing behind them, a new beginning born out of the ruins of the old. The next day was peaceful, but had a weight of sorts, the sort that arises when the past is present very near. Christine had gone over yesterday's exchange with Mary and Janelle in her mind the entire night. The laughter, the candor, the deep peace that descended between them. But of course she knew they had merely touched the surface. There were still things left unspoken, wounds left gaping. By mid-morning, the 3 women sat once again on the porch with coffee cups. The air was cool with the light scent of dew and pine. Birds sang from the trees nearby, shattering the silence that hung between them. Christine finally opened her mouth. "You know," she said slowly, "it's amazing how long we pretended to be fine. I think back on those years and can't believe how we made it through." Mary laughed softly. "Barely," she replied, shaking her head. "We didn't make it through. We survived." "There's a difference," Janelle agreed. "That's right. We were all just existing." Keeping our heads down, trying not to be the next one, he turned on. Christine breathed deeply. It was like being in a game that never ended. Regardless of how patient or nice you attempted to be, you could never win. Mary turned to her, because the game was rigged before it ever began. The 3 women shared hard glances. It was the truth, the one they'd all known in secret but hardly ever had the guts to vocalize. Cut to confessional. Janelle gazes directly at the camera, her tone even, but her eyes tears. "We believed for years that we were the problem, that if we were more obedient, more patient, more loving, maybe Cody would be kind to us. But now I realize he never desired equality. He wanted control, and the more we attempted to prove ourselves, the more power we gave him." Christine sighed and rested against the wooden railing. "Remember that first Thanksgiving in Vegas?" Mary moaned. "Don't remind me," Christine smiled wryly. He said we all needed to bring a dish that demonstrated our commitment level. I spent 2 days preparing a roast. You brought that casserole. Janelle brought homemade rolls. And what did Robin do? Janelle snorted. She purchased a pie, and he treated her like a heroine. Christine shook her head, like she had done more than the rest of us. Mary cackled with bitter laughter. Oh, that pie. I still have it etched in my memory, him saying, Robin always knows how to make things special. I wanted to fling it in his face. They all erupted into laughter, the sort that comes from years of collective suffering and madness. Once the laughter stopped, Janelle addressed them again, her voice stern. You really don't think he ever loved any of us at all, do you? The question lingered in the air. Christine didn't respond immediately. She gazed out the windows at the trees, her thoughts reliving decades of moments. The weddings, the tears, the forced smiles in front of the cameras. At last, she said softly, I think he loved the concept of us, the way we made him feel. But genuine love? No. Genuine love doesn't humiliate you or force you to beg for attention. Mary's eyes welled up with tears. You see, I waited for years, thinking that if I waited long enough, he'd come back around. I kept thinking that one day he'd see my commitment and know that I was worthy. She stopped, her voice shaking. And he never did. And when I did finally leave, I knew that I had been waiting for a man who never existed. Janelle extended her hand and grasped hers. You were faithful, Mary. You were always heart. He just couldn't deal with that type of love. Christine nodded in agreement. He couldn't deal with love that wasn't worship. That struck a chord in all of them. Cut to confessional. Mary wipes a tear from her face. It's odd to say now, but I don't hate him anymore. I feel sorry for him, because he'll never know what real love is. Not the kind that comes through honesty and forgiveness. He constructed a kingdom out of hand, and now he's the only one who gets to sit in it alone. Back on the porch, Christine gazed into her coffee cup. I remember when I said I was leaving, he looked at me as if I had betrayed God himself. Like leaving him meant I'd lost my soul. She let out a tiny, mirthless laugh. I think that's when I realized he didn't see us as women. He saw us as proof of his worth. Janelle's voice softened. He still does. He speaks of himself as the victim, of how we destroyed the family. But the reality is, he never perceived the family as a group of individuals. He perceived it as a mirror of his ego, Christine nodded. That's right. That's why he's so angry now. Not because we left him, but because we cut him off. Mary sighed heavily. And Robin still does. The air became stagnant once more. Even the birds appeared to hush at the mention of her name. Christine's tone was firm. She doesn't realize yet. She believes she is the chosen one, but actually, she is the last one sustaining the illusion. Janelle scowled. I pity her truly. She's trapped. And unlike us, she doesn't even know that she is in a cage. Mary gazed down, stirring the dregs of her coffee. She'll come to it one day, when the love wears off, and he begins to seek out someone else to hold responsible. Christine sighed. I hope she does, because until she does, she'll never be free. The conversation shifted as the sun climbed higher. They talked about their children, about how differently they were raising their own families now. Christine spoke proudly of Mike Helty's independence and Aspen's quiet strength. Janelle glowed as she talked about Maddie and how grounded she was as a mother. Even Mary smiled when she mentioned Leon, how proud she was of their courage to live authentically. For the first time, their discussion wasn't about survival. It was about legacy. We did something right, Janelle said. Look at our kids. They're strong, they're kind, they're brave. That's not because of him. That's because of us. Christine nodded, her eyes filled with tears. We broke the cycle, Mary smiled weakly. Yeah, maybe we didn't get the fairy tale ending we expected. But we gave our children the opportunity to pen a better one. Cut to confessional. Christine beams with pride. You see, I used to think that we had failed. The marriages dissolved. The family disintegrated. The dream fell apart. But sitting there with Janelle and Mary, I realized perhaps that was the intention. Perhaps the dream was meant to fall apart, so something real could replace it. Throughout the day, The women remained out on the porch, laughing and remembering, the agony of yesterday becoming wisdom. They didn't have to repair what had been broken. They were too busy constructing what would be. And as the sun sank lower, casting long shadows over the yard, Christine smiled at her two old friends and said gently, "We made it out. Not perfect, not unscarred, but we made it," Janelle smiled. "And we're finally living for ourselves." Mary raised her cup. "To freedom," Christine clinked hers against it. "To truth," Janelle added with a grin. "And to never." Baking pies for approval again, they all erupted into laughter as the camera pulled back to capture 3 women who survived that same storm and now stood stronger than ever in the sunlight. The following night was one of serene tranquility that seemed almost deceptive. The Arizona dusk was a deep shade of violet, with the darker colors slowly creeping across the horizon, and cicadas' soft hum reverberated in the distance. Christine was sitting in her sitting room, looking out of the window with a contemplative expression. The past couple of days had brought back memories, not ones she wanted to remember, but ones she could not help forgetting. David was flipping through a book nearby, his presence grounding her. "You're quiet tonight," he said gently. Christine smiled faintly. "Just thinking. About the past. About how much has changed, and how much hasn't." David looked at her knowingly. "You saw him, didn't you?" Christine exhaled. "Not in person. Just online. A clip from the show popped up. He's talking about me again." David frowned. "Still?" "Still," she spat. "Apparently, I'm the cause of the family's breakdown. He claims I poisoned the relationships among the wives, that I manipulated the kids." She shook her head, a mirthless laugh on her lips. "It's unbelievable, isn't it?" "He's still playing the victim." David took hold of her hand. "Let him. You don't have to defend yourself anymore." Christine nodded, but her eyes welled up. "I know, but when I consider the girls hearing that, about my children having to listen to him rewrite history, it makes my blood boil." Cut to confessional. Christine sits in front of the camera, raw emotion in her tone. "For years I let him dictate the story. I let him turn me into the issue. But I've come to understand something. Silence is a form of approval in and of itself. And I am not going to be silent anymore." Later that night, Janelle came. She didn't knock, she never did anymore. She walked in with a bottle of wine and a box of pictures. "Girls' night emergency," Janelle announced. "We need to discuss." Christine smiled quietly. "What about?" Janelle grinned. "You know, the same guy who's losing his mind on TV." They sat around the dining table, filling mismatched glasses with wine. Mary joined via video conference, her face aglow on the tablet between the plates. Janelle breathed deeply. "I watched the new episode. He made some comments that, well, we can't just pretend like they didn't happen." Christine rolled her eyes. "Let me guess, I'm the bad guy again?" Mary spoke from the television screen. "Actually, this time it's all of us. He said we're ungrateful, that we left him when he needed us most." Christine's face clenched. "When he needed us? What about when we needed him?" Janelle slammed her glass on the counter. "Right. When Gabe was pleading for a relationship, when Savannah cried herself to sleep every night, when the kids were pleading with him to call, where was he then?" The silence in the room was thick. The air was heavy with the memories they'd all attempted to keep hidden. Christine barely breathed. "Do you ever wonder if he even misses them?" "The kids, I mean," Janelle paused. "I thought he did, but now I think he just misses control. Not people," Mary nodded slowly. "That's what narcissists do. They don't miss you. They miss what you gave them." Christine gazed into her wineglass. Love, loyalty, validation. Cut to confessional. Janelle's tone is firm but laced with heartache. "He doesn't speak of our children as though they're human beings anymore. He speaks of them as though they were trophies he lost. And that's what stings the most. They were owed a father, not a scorekeeper." The discussion became darker. They started recalling the instances that stood out as the end came about. "The night he said he couldn't love me anymore," Mary whispered. "He looked nearly relieved." like he'd finally received permission to stop pretending. Christine nodded. Once he said I was too emotional, that I needed to be more like Robin. I remember thinking, if being like Robin means losing myself, I'd rather be alone. Janelle dry laughed. He said I was too independent, that I made him feel unnecessary. Mary smiled sadly. So really, we were all wrong. Too emotional, too independent, too human, Christine sighed. He didn't want wives. He wanted mirrors. That line stung like lightning. None of them spoke for a moment. Cut to confessional. Mary gazes into the camera, her face a combination of pain and enlightenment. That's right. He wanted reflections of himself. Women who adored him, not women who pushed him. But you can't construct family on obedience. You can only construct it on love. At the table, Janelle opened the box of photos. I came across these when I was moving storage. Vegas days. She set them out on the table. Birthday smiles, smiling faces, family vacations. The years before it all fell apart. Christine's fingers curled around a photo of all the wives in one group, arms around each other, forced grins spread across their faces. We were so happy, she breathed. Mary snorted. We were so tired. They all laughed softly. Janelle ran her fingers over one photo. Cody with baby Truly in his arms. You know what's crazy? We really did believe it then. The family vision, the religious calling. We actually thought we were creating something holy. Christine nodded. And perhaps we were, only not how we envisioned. Perhaps the lesson was not marriage or submission or faith. Perhaps it was how to know when to leave. Mary smiled weakly through the screen, and discovering who we are when we do. Cut to confessional. Christine. Her voice is introspective. For so long, I believed that leaving was failure. Now I realize staying was failure. Staying silent, staying small, staying in pain. Leaving wasn't quitting. It was choosing myself for the first time. They went on browsing the pictures, their laughter interwoven with tears. The anguish of the past gradually started to give way, turning into thankfulness for how far they'd gone. Then Janelle settled back, gazing at the two of them. You know what's ironic? He likely thinks we spend our days scheming revenge. Christine smiled wryly. We're too busy living, Mary laughed. Right. The ultimate revenge is happiness, and we're finally getting lots of it. The three of them toasted, one of them in body, one of them in spirit, in silent accord. To healing, Janelle stated. To truth, Mary chipped in. Christine smiled. And to never letting anyone rewrite our story again. Final scene, montage. Style-softer music plays as the camera pans over old footage, moments of previous seasons, the smiling family unit, the family dinners, the tears. Then, intercut with new footage. Christine laughing with David, Janelle surrounded by grandchildren, Mary walking confidently through a new town. Christine's voice narrates softly. For years we existed in his narrative. But now we're writing our own. It's not ideal. It's not simple, but it's authentic, and that's more than we ever had before. The screen goes black with one last shot, a photo from the night before. Christine, Janelle, and Mary, sitting side by side and smiling. 3 women. 3 survivors, 3 authors of their own conclusion. The day after their roller coaster evening together was different, lighter in some way, as if a storm had finally cleared. The sun rose gently over the horizon, painting a golden haze over the kitchen where Christine stood, humming softly to herself as she made breakfast. The aroma of cinnamon pancakes wafted through the air, mixed with the distant laughter of grandchildren in the yard. It wasn't lost on her how symbolic this moment was. For years, her mornings had been filled with tension, wondering who was mad at whom, who had more time with Cody, who was being favored. Now she was surrounded by peace. It was simple, and that simplicity felt sacred. Janelle walked in, hair still damp from a shower, looking refreshed and content. You're up early, she teased. Christine smiled. Old habits die hard. I used to get up at 5 a.m. to feed him before he left for work. Now I get up early because I actually enjoy the quiet. Janelle laughed. You and your serene mornings. I still sleep in just to catch up on all those years of waking up for his bedlam. Christine chuckled. Fair enough. As they sat with their coffee, the conversation became introspective once more. But this time, not heavy. This time, it was nostalgic, friendly, nearly joyful. Know what I learned? Christine mused. We've spent so many years defining ourselves by what we lost, but maybe it's time to begin defining ourselves by what we gained. Janelle nodded. Freedom, peace, confidence, and our children. They're doing well. Christine's eyes softened. That's what makes it all worthwhile. Mary's phone rang on FaceTime again. Her face flashed on the screen, lighting it up, full of energy. Good morning, girls. Guess who just got offered a new business venture? Christine gasped. What? Tell us all about it. Mary smiled. A tiny retreat center contacted me. They want me to lead weekend workshops for women on healing and rebuilding after abusive relationships. Janelle's mouth fell open. That's perfect for you. Christine clapped her hands. See? Look at us. We're turning pain into purpose. Mary nodded, eyes shimmering. It's strange, isn't it? How the same story that once broke us is now helping others. Cut to confessional. Mary appears tearful but elated. I was embarrassed about my tale for years. I didn't want anyone to know how much I suffered, how much I compromised. But now I realize telling the truth doesn't make me weak. It makes me free. If I can inspire one woman to get out of a situation that's smothering her, then all of this has been worth it. Back in the kitchen, Christine filled her coffee cup. I think about that sometimes, she said. What we would say to our younger selves if we could turn back the clock. Janelle smiled dreamily. I'd tell mine to stop waiting around for someone to give them permission to be happy. Mary nodded. I'd tell mine to never confuse loyalty with love. Christine considered for a very long time. And I'd tell mine that love doesn't have to hurt. The words hung there, silent, powerful, ultimate. Then Christine's phone vibrated with a text message. She looked at it, went still, then smiled quietly. What? Janelle asked, intrigued. Christine turned the screen toward her. It's from one of the kids, Gwendolyn. She says, Mom, I'm so proud of you. Watching you be happy makes me think that I can be happy too. Janelle smiled, tears shining. There it is. Proof that you did everything right. Christine blinked away tears. Yeah, maybe I did. Later that day, the three women reunited outside, this time with their children and grandchildren present. The backyard was abuzz with laughter, the air carrying the sounds of stories told, and food grilling on the barbecue. It wasn't a sister-wives family anymore. It was better. It was authentic. Mykelti was running her toddlers around in the grass while Maddie and her husband arranged chairs. Even Leon had connected in with a video call, laughing and joking as if it were like no time at all had lapsed. Christine surveyed the scene, beaming. This is the family I wanted. Janelle nodded. No hierarchy, no guilt. Just love. Mary toasted her glass of lemonade, and no Cody insisting on controlling the menu. Everyone erupted into laughter. For the first time, they weren't tied together by common hardship. They were tied together by common development. Cut to confessional. Christine's smile is bright, her eyes shining with emotion. I used to believe that happiness was something you had to earn, that you had to work to prove you were worthy of it. But now I realize that happiness is something you decide every single day. It is not perfect. It is not easy, but it is mine, and that is enough. As the evening sun turned into twilight, the crowd sat around a fire pit. The children toasted marshmallows while the adults huddled, recalling the past. Gold and pink sunsets crept over the sky, the gentle breeze wafting with the smell of smoke and laughter. Janelle rested against the chair. You know what's ironic? If you had told me 10 years ago that it was going to happen this way, I would have thought it was tragic. Christine nodded. And now it seems like the happiest ending we could have hoped for. Mary smiled across the flames. Because it's not an ending, it's the beginning of the life we were always meant to live. The camera held on their faces, the warmth, the peace, the quiet strength of women who had rebuilt themselves piece by piece. Final montage. Narration by Christina's soft music plays. A montage unfolds. Christine strolling hand in hand with David down a path, smiling and free, Janelle working in the garden, grandchildren playing around her, Mary teaching at the front of a retreat workshop, surrounded by women who are listening carefully. Christine's voice speaks gently over the pictures. For years, we believed the dream was having one large family, one husband, several wives, unlimited love. But that wasn't the dream. The dream was belonging. The dream was peace. And as it turns out, we didn't need him to achieve that. We just needed to discover ourselves. The camera turns to the three women together for the last time, sitting on a porch beneath a string of lights, laughing until they are crying. Christine gazes at them and says, "You know what? I think we finally made it." Janelle nods. "We really did." Mary holds up her glass. "To the next chapter." Christine smiles and echoes softly. "To freedom, to healing, to love, the real kind." The camera slowly backs away, the laughter being eclipsed by the golden light of dusk. The last shot lingers, three women standing in a line, finally complete.